there, it's Red. So today I'm going to be doing the reader problems tag, which I was tagged by Kelly from Kelly's Book Spills, so I will link her channel down below. Make sure you go check her out. And I'm just going to get started. 1. You have 20,000 books on your TBR. How in the world do you decide what to read next? Okay, so I practically have 20,000 books on my TBR. I own a lot of books. How I pick books is really simple. Usually I kind of have a feeling of what I want to read next afterwards, but sometimes if I really have no clue, I just kind of browse over my bookshelves until one of the books just kind of pops out at me and I'm like, hey, I should try this. And if I'm not getting into it, I put it back for another time and I pick out another book until one just kind of clicks. But a lot of times, like, I'm usually in the mood for something specific that I know that I want to read, so it makes it really easy. But I don't really get overwhelmed by knowing I have a lot of TBR books. I really just read whatever I feel like reading. 2. You're halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. Do you quit or are you committed? It just really depends. Sometimes if I feel like it's just a little bit slow, but it's like I'm not hating it, I'm not like totally not enjoying it or something, then I can usually continue through it because sometimes it gets better. Like with, I want to say Between the Burn and the Spark, but that's the second book, Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. That's what it is, by, I can't remember the author's name right now. That was one of those books where it's like, I wasn't loving it, but I wasn't like, it wasn't that I was unmotivated to read it. I still managed to pick it up every day and read some, and it was fine. But I wasn't obviously loving it. I wasn't like dying to turn the pages on it, but I wasn't completely unmotivated to read it. I wasn't avoiding it, because when I really am not enjoying something, when I'm that bored with it, or I'm just really not liking that, I'm so unmotivated to the point where I avoid reading altogether because I feel bad about how much I don't love it, and it's just not good. So if it's like with Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea, where I wasn't like hating it, I wasn't completely bored with it or anything, it just wasn't my favorite, I can usually stick it out, and I finished it and I actually ended up loving it. It took forever for it to actually get good, enough where I wanted to keep reading it actively, but it did get there, and it wasn't like I was dying to get to that place. I wasn't dying during the process. But when you get those books where it's just not clicking, it's just not happening, the last thing I'm going to do is waste my time with a book that I'm not enjoying, because it just seems dumb to me. Now, if you're one of those people that's committed and you finish it, like, awesome, like, everybody's different, and that's cool, and I'm not bashing you if that's what you prefer to do. Just for me, personally, I just feel like there's so many books that I want to read. The last thing I want to do is to waste my time on something that I'm not enjoying when I could be using that time to read something that I do enjoy, because finishing a book just for the sake of saying you finished it when you didn't enjoy it just seems like a dumb reason to do it to me. Number 3. The end of the year is coming and you're so close, but so far away on your Goodreads reading challenge. Do you try to catch up, and how? I just don't take the Goodreads reading challenge all that seriously. I like it because I use it more to measure my personal goal for readings. It's like, oh yeah, I'd like to try and read this many books in a year. But I don't take it seriously enough that I stress out about it. I don't stress out about it. If I put, the number on there and I didn't get there, fine. I'm not going to sweat it. I don't really care that much. I'm not going to feel worse about myself. It just means that I didn't read as much as I'd hoped. But I don't take it seriously enough for it to freak me out. Plus, I kind of like how at the end of the year I can kind of look over the list and just see everything I read that year, because I forget. And so more than anything, it's just kind of a personal tool that I use to measure how much I've read, what I've read, and it kind of helps me remember. Number 4. The covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope? The answer is, I really don't. I have to try and not look at them because it will just drive me crazy. For example, and this was the example I was going to show you, which is the reason I actually don't have the book to show you the example for, and that is the Unbecoming of Mara Dyer in that whole series. If you look at the paperbacks for the first one and the second one, and if you look at Kelly's video, she actually shows this, but the paperback for the Unbecoming of Mara Dyer is bigger than the paperback for the Evolution of Mara Dyer. Why? Why? This bothered me so much that even though I already owned all of them, I decided to rebuy everything in hardcover. I still have the paperback of The Evolution of Mara Dyer because I just haven't bought the second one in hardcover yet. I already repurchased The Unbecoming in hardcover, and I own The Retribution of Mara Dyer because it just came out, so it's not even available in paperback if I wanted it. The only one I still need to replace is this one, but the first one I had in paperback I gave to my friend because I no longer needed it, but it seriously drives me up the wall. But it drives me crazy not having matching covers. It bothers me. It genuinely bothers me, and I don't know why you do it. 5. Everyone and their mother loves a book you really don't like. Who do you bond with over shared feelings? The only book that really comes to mind is The Hunger Games, and I don't know anybody that shares these feelings with me that I can think of. I've yet to bond with anyone over our mutual dislike of the Hunger Games books. I bond with people over liking the movies, because I love the movies, but I don't know, I haven't found anybody that hasn't enjoyed the Hunger Games books besides me. So, I'll get back to you. Number 6. You're reading a book and you're about to start crying in public. How do you deal? I don't really cry during books. Not that it hasn't happened, but it's just not easy, and the few times that I have, I was home, so I didn't really have to worry about that. 7. A sequel of a book you love just came out, but you've forgotten a lot from the prior novel. Will you reread the book or skip the sequel? If it's a book that I love, then I will reread the book if I really feel like not remembering the details is going to inhibit me reading the sequel. A lot of times I can read the sequel, and even though I've forgotten a lot, there'll be kind of reminders, so I can kind of pick it back up really easily without having to reread the first book. So basically, I'm just not going to jip myself out of reading something that I would enjoy just because I don't want to put a little extra effort into rereading the first book. But the difference being, like, if the book was just okay, I might not necessarily be motivated enough to read the sequel. This really only applies to books in series that I know I love. The other thing I might do too, a lot of times you can find a full synopsis on Wikipedia or something like that that literally just kind of takes you through a shortened version of the book but covers the basic points. And sometimes I will do that for a book that I've already read if I just need a quick reminder of what happened without a whole lot of details. I will just reread their Wikipedia page and then go on to read the sequel. Number 8. You do not want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely tell people nope when they ask? I don't really say it politely or impolitely. I mean, I don't usually have a problem lending out my books if I trust you. Problem is there's a very limited number of people that I trust enough to lend my books out. Like, I've got a few co-workers at work that I don't mind lending them my books because they're big readers like me. I know they'll read them fast and I know they'll take care of them. I trust them with my books. Although there's certain books I just wouldn't lend out to anybody. I wouldn't lend out any of my Harry Potter books. I would not lend out my Silver Linings Playbook. So there's certain books I just would not lend out to anyone at all. But I do have a limited number of people that I would lend books out to, but I wouldn't lend them out to just anybody. So for those people that want to borrow a book and are not in that group, I will straight up just tell them, be like, you know what, I don't really lend out my books. I'm sorry, I recommend you read this book. It's really good, but I'm not going to lend you mine. Number 9, reading ADD. You've picked up and put down 5 books in the last month. How do you get over your reading slump? I'm still working on that. Sometimes there's just no getting around reading slumps for me. Sometimes I just kind of have to wait them out until I kind of get over it. And it depends on what's causing them. Sometimes it's just a reading slump for no reason. Sometimes it's stress induced or being tired or just being busy that just kind of decreases my reading motivation. However, if I do, I won't pick anything that's going to be too daunting. If it's something that's I can tell it's a long book, it's an intense book, that's probably not what I need. I need something fun and quick and easy, basically. Because long books are not going to work for me. So something short and sweet is better. So 11. After you've bought the new books you can't wait to get to, how long do they sit on your shelf before you get to them? That really depends. Some of them I will start reading the day that I get it. The day that I get it, and have it read the day that I get it. Others, I bought months ago and they're still sitting on my shelf, so it's kind of all over the place. Anyway, that is all for this tag. Thank you so much, Kelly, for tagging me. I don't know who I'm going to tag. I don't remember who she tagged, so I'm going to try not to tag people she tagged. I'm going to tag Austin from the Reading Cave. I'm going to tag Lindsay from Lindsay's Library. I don't know if you've done this or not. You might have. I don't remember. So if you have, well, then you can obviously ignore me. And I'm going to tag Brittany from Brittany's Book Find. She might have been tagged already, but I don't know. And that's good. That's a pretty big handful there. So you guys consider yourselves tagged. You probably, if you've been tagged multiple times, then here's one more. If you've done it, you can ignore this tag. I think I have just about talked you guys out and myself out. I don't know why I'm talking so much tonight or why I keep rambling on. So I'm going to go before I lose my voice completely because I can feel it kind of going now. And I'm still talking. Alright, I will talk to you guys later.